This is an interesting clock made by Joseph Knibb in about 1671, and as you see it's quite a big clock. And early spring clocks tend to be bigger than the later ones because of making the springs. It was easier to make a bigger spring than it is a little spring with the same power to drive the clock for 8 days. And this clock is also interesting because it's Dutch striking. As you see, the clock has just struck 5, it's 5 +5, and if I open the front and move the hands on, it'll strike 5 again at 5:30. And then when it comes to the hour, it'll strike 6, 6 on the lower bell, and again at 6:30 it'll strike 6 again on the high bell. So it'll be 7 o'clock. And when we go to 7:30, it'll strike 7 on the high bell inside. So the reason for having the two bells is that if it just struck 6 again, you wouldn't know whether it was 6 o'clock or 6:30, but by having the low bell at the 6 o'clock and the high bell at 6:30, then it differentiates the two from the one to the other. The case is a very early case going away from the architectural tradition. It's beautifully simplified. You've got this lovely carrying handle, the lovely cherub, simple dome spandrels, beautifully cast escutcheons for the keyhole, and the beautiful spandrels cast and chased in the corners. The dial is then very plainly presented, beautiful matting, and the 2 winding holes for the striking train and the going train, and of course the date calendar at the bottom. Knibb went on to be one of the foremost of the London clockmakers. He didn't match Tompion in grandiose clocks for royalty. Most of his clocks are beautiful, simplistic designs, which to me are equally beautiful to the ones that Tompion made for high society. So I'll just turn the clock round and then you can see the beautiful engraving on the back plate. Guess what's on the back plate? So here's the back of the clock, and as you see, it's beautifully engraved. It's got the crossed flowers in the spray, and it's simplistic beauty rather than complex beauty. And the simplistic beauty of the spray of the flowers is then matched by the lovely signature going round, fitting in between the stems of the floral display, proudly engraved. Wonderful swirls. Joseph Knibb, London, fake it. Joseph Knibb of London made it. And underneath there's a wonderful mythical fish. Look at the teeth. Yes, he had different ideas and making things interesting for his clients. It's also a very technically advanced clock in that there's no count wheel on the back at all. It's all hidden away, and it's actually onto the great wheel of the striking train, so that it doesn't interrupt the design of the engraving with having a count wheel visible. So it's another stage forward in the development of clockwork. So here you can see the count wheel fastened on to the great wheel in the strike train, and it's just showing the division in between the 12 and the 1, and so that you can see then that they are in pairs coming round. You can just see the last of or should I say the first 12 is just below the frame, the last 12, and then you've got the 1s, the 2s, the 3s in pairs going around the count wheel for the striking, the Dutch striking on the hour and on the half hour. Just coming up to 8 o'clock to make it strike, and you'll be able to see the great wheel and the count wheel revolving with it. 8 o'clock. And when we get to 8:30, it'll strike 8 again. Coming up to 9 o'clock, and you can see it strike 9. And then on the half hour, you'll see the pull levers going across to strike the half hour on the lower bell.